disagree. My people think that this is a betrayal. They think that I'm a traitor, for bringing such a person. So what to do about this? What to do about it? How can I change their mind? And my mother is ashamed of me. She's ashamed of my name. She's ashamed that one day she gave birth to me. This is where it gets nasty, and it gets very complicated. If I had been killed, which death was just around the corner throughout my journey in the Middle East, by accident or by getting exposed or anything, could have happened. But again, this was not the biggest challenge. It's like how you eventually disappoint your own mother, and put her to shame, and also I had to choose knowingly. I knew that I would hurt them. I knew, but there was no way around it. Corrupt politicians, that they profit out of the conflict, and they don't exist outside of the conflict. If there is no conflict, there is no need for them. So they create the situation where, it's like people become dependent on them. It's just the old new play of politicians throughout the centuries. And if people continue to be sheep, if people continue to be just followers and believers, not having the minimum amount of intelligence to fight for who they are and what they perceive. I saw brutality and I rejected it completely, and for me, at some point, it was not only brutality against Israel, it was Hamas brutality against Palestinians and against Arabs and against all type of life, and I could not just differentiate, say, okay, this is brutality against Israel, I approve it, and this is brutality against Palestinians, I don't approve it. This is what my father does, that he wants peace and he wants forgiveness only among the Palestinians, but not towards the others, the ones who are different in religion or different in race or different in lifestyle. I did not want to be part of killing or assassinations because my motive was not revenge. And this is, by the way, my response for everybody in my society who say that I took revenge from the society. Because I was not angry at anybody. I just did not want another bomb to kill more innocent people, or suicide bomber. I just did not want that to happen. That was simply my mission. I did not have agendas. So in the meantime, for whatever moral compass that I have created for myself, so I can maneuver, so I can navigate through this chaos of that region, I could not find like a certain religion that would just give me the light through that dark tunnel. So I had to develop my own moral compass. I thought in that ethic, I could not be part of killing. Whether if it's a Palestinian or Israeli, even if it was justified by democracy, it was justified by intelligence service, it was approved by the chief of a democratic system, it was not enough. And if I get this instability, in such a difficult mission, I would probably lose sight, I would lose power, and I cannot keep going on. So I told my handler, listen, I don't want them dead. But he said, if you don't want them dead, they will mention your name during the interrogation, and truly, like, assassinating them is the best way to keep your cover. If they mention your name, you're done. Many people in the United States, especially like my friends in the liberal camp, which many of them are my friends, and I also have many friends in the conservative camp. But also it's like they want like, okay, justice for Palestinians, and we say it's like, define Palestine. Define Palestinian. What is? There is no such a thing. We're talking about dozens of rival parties, layer upon layer of darkness, of confusion, of ignorance, and who's crushed in between? The children. and all the Palestinian factions, with no exception, religious or secular, conservative or liberal, all of them put nationalism ahead of the children. Their nationalism is more significant than the future of the children, you know. And as long as they are thinking this way, you know, they should be held accountable. They should be countered by any means. And this is what Hamas is doing. You know, we cannot say it's like, okay, Palestinians. No, the children of Gaza are helpless. You know, Hamas store missiles at schools, at hospitals, at mosques, and lunch rallies, you know, with their homemade, kitchen made missiles, you know, among thousands, hundreds of thousands of civilians. You know, what's that? You know, and when a mistake happens, they rush to blame Israel. That was like really taking it too far. Just man up for one time in your history, you know, just take responsibility and say it was us, you know. But they cannot. They cannot. Like hard work in the field. I learned what I learned. I learned the nature of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, the leaders behind it, the mindset, the culture, the people, and the forces that actually play in to keep the conflict going. And that was learned. And for me, it was time to move on, you know, because honestly, I cannot stop human madness. You know, if I see the truth, I needed to work on myself. I needed to transform myself. I needed to actually emancipate myself from all the things that I had witnessed, from all the experiences, you know, that I had. That requires more freedom. That requires honesty. That requires to be truthful to who I am, and not to be ashamed of things that I did only because they are disagreeable, and not to be afraid of being labeled as a traitor, not to be afraid of being actually doubted. Do you think in the United States when I came, you know, do you think the liberals, you know, just gave me praise? You know, they also criticized me. You know, do you think Israelis actually said, "Oh, what a hero"? Israelis look at me, oh, traitor to his people. You know, easy. Anybody, like, it's very hard for anybody to see you, to perceive you for who you are. But if you know who you are, and you know that you have created yourself, you're not just the byproduct of culture, you're not the byproduct of society, you know, living by the expectations of the people, you know, just a status, an image, an impression, to let go of all this comfort that comes with a status. When I came out, I came to see the truth that the grass on the other bank of the river is exactly the same as the other side. You know, in the United States, I saw diversity, which is okay. Diversity is power, but I also saw all type of human condition. I saw all type of problems, you know, between this camp and that camp. And the human condition does not differentiate, you know, between east and west, between this culture and that culture. Doesn't know political borders. So that was just like affirmation, you know, to the very fundamental human problems that I was facing individually, and I learned that I need to transcend them and grow and rise above them. All this action, all this excitement, and all the stories that I tell you that, you know, people want to make movies about them and stuff. Okay, exciting stuff. But for me, it just kept guiding me again and again and again to see the fundamental problem, the fundamental human problem that I struggle against. I learned gradually how to rise and how to transcend. And this is really, you know, the real achievement of my life. You know, many people, of course, you know, they tell me, why don't you just like talk more about your adventure and about the life. You saved many human lives. And then it's like, what's the point, if you save so many human lives and you lose yourself in the process, Um, first we need to be able to actually help ourselves, then we can help others. If we and I went on a quest. I don't want to say it was an idiotic one, by trying to save the world. The world does not need anybody to save it, truly, but or transform the world, transform the Middle East region. Such big goal, and only hypocrites, would go after such a goal. I'm telling you, I know I was a hypocrite, because the true transformation that we can create is once we transform ourselves, once we integrate in our understanding, once we are able to let go of our knowledge, of our attachment, of what we think that we know, and emancipate ourselves actually from all these experiences, that were meant for us to just know our own truth. Then things will happen to others, even if we had an impact only on one person, we already have contributed a great deal towards humanity and towards consciousness. And I'm very happy that actually that I accept my aloneness, that I accept actually being alone is okay. It's better than being with a million people, but causing destruction and causing chaos and causing pain and suffering for generations to come. Today, my people, my parents shun me. They leave me alone. They maybe wanted me dead, and they don't even like this very interview that I'm giving you right now, and they don't like my voice. I'm enjoying my aloneness, in this chaotic world. It bugs them. It bugs them. If you understand the human condition, what it is to be a human, which we don't see things for what they are, then the person is able to understand better what's going on in the head of this man. What really motivates him, what really drives him, why is he doing all this? Somehow, the truth reveals itself to you. It's just to direct you to see a higher truth, to grow into a higher understanding. It's unfair and it's brutal and all this. But today I see it differently. I see it as the greatest school, of my life. The brutality of the human society, and the human societies, by the way. It just showed me something about my own nature, and I had to choose. Do I want to be like this image, or do I want to transform into a more refined, higher consciousness, that can handle pressure, that can handle pain, that can handle misunderstanding, and rise above all situations? It's very easy to know where I came from and how I traveled, on this path, all the unexpected, I go to work with Israel to take revenge from them, but somehow like I end up working for them. To the Muslims, I pose as a Christian. To the Christians, I pose as a Muslim. To the Israelis as a Palestinian. To the Palestinians as Israeli agent. All the opposite extremes, of life exist within my journey. It was easy to just stay where I was. I had privileges, I had security, I had respectability. I was somehow like the Hamas prince, in that society. And the majority agreed, that Israel is the enemy, let's fight them, and the more you fight, like my father, he's a national hero. He's a national hero, 25 years in Israeli prison, praise Allah, and everybody is very proud of him. But practically, he's an idiot man. He's swayed by what the majority agree. If they say right, he goes right. If they say left, he goes left. For me, it was a different journey. For me, I learned how to swim against the current. Okay. Some people tell me Okay, so you cross the river to the other side, and was it greener on the other side? And I say, the truth is, it wasn't greener. When I swam, I got to the other side. It was not greener. But I said, then what was the point? What was the point of departing? I say, simply, I learned how to swim against the current, and in order for us to see and to know our higher potential, it doesn't matter where we came from. It doesn't matter. Yes, I graduated from school. Uh, I had a BA degree in social studies, geography, history, blah, blah, all this. But the greatest schools, of life has been the prison, has been the slaughterhouse, where I was hooded, handcuffed, under loud music, very difficult circumstances, sleep deprived, and did not see the sun for 3 months. And as you see, because I disagree with what the majority choose to do, with my parents' view of life. I'm disagreeing with killing. For example, this is a universal. It's not going in harmony with existence. Blowing people up. Innocent people we don't know, just for political reasons, for religious reasons. This is as dark as it can get. And when I decided at some point to say no to that, what happened to me? They shunned me. My father disowned me immediately. Even though this is not his heart, he's just being a hypocrite. In his heart, he still considers me until now as his son. We don't talk. I haven't spoken to him in 10 years. But I know in his heart, he cannot disown me, But for his public image, so he does not lose his status as the freedom fighter, as the warrior, as the religious imam, the mullah of the Palestine. He had to sacrifice his son. Okay. This is, hypocrisy that I'm against. This is why the situation in the Middle East is endless. If we continue to be like this, that we cannot stand for who we are and just say that this is not the right way, and have the freedom to express actually our opinion, to say that this is, I'm talking about even obvious things, like obvious for the American people, suicide bombing attack, it's like, this is the obvious. Nobody, right and left, conservative, Democrat, liberal, all agree, that violence is not acceptable and racism is not acceptable. And those are just like the common sense, we call them. Okay, but in other regions of the world, it's not like that. To stand for the obvious, unfortunately, it meant total destruction. So they invested in you, counting that you would never find your way out, because now the truth at that level and the power that you experience within Israeli intelligence or any other intelligence service, we're talking about power, and we're talking about real intelligence, and we're talking about real creation, like huge orchestration, that deceives politicians and media and average people. And you can create any scenario to anybody and make them believe in it, and they would believe in it. So when I was playing, at a very young age, I start having a taste of that powerful game. This is what everybody is fighting for or thirsty for, to experience power. But for me, it was another form of slavery. I did not want to cut the part, which was the part that would condemn me to death penalty, which was my affiliation with the Israeli intelligence. And that was the hardest part, but I needed to be honest with my people, they did not recognize my work with Israel. They did not reveal or expose me. I revealed myself. And I stepped forward and I told them, this is the honest truth. I know now you're going to see me as a traitor. I know that you're going to crucify me for this, but you do it, But for me, I'm going to tell you the truth, And in fact, when I wrote the book, Son of Hamas, it was not about trying to change the mind as much as trying to be truthful, to who I am without being afraid. If I fought 10 years to save human lives on a daily basis, why should I be ashamed of it? Why should I be ashamed of it? Even if the majority of my people disagree, but you will see sooner or later, that this is the rule of change. What's agreeable today, tomorrow will be disagreeable, but I don't want to lose myself in the process and in the transition, to say like, okay, I stay with the agreeable today and I change tomorrow when they change. But I have lost my life in the process. Even when I had, let's say, solid intelligence, like about big things about to happen. Like, for example, I had information about Hamas taking over the Gaza Strip 1 year before Hamas took over. And I told the Israeli intelligence, Hamas is going to take over Gaza. They are planning for this. They are building an army, underground army. It did not make sense to them. They were like, no, this is. They won't be able to pull this together, even if they had the intention to do so. They cannot do it. It's impossible. The Palestinian Authority is 10 times the size of Hamas in Gaza Strip. They've got much more guns, they've got much more members, and they have the support of the whole world. Hamas wouldn't be able to take over the Gaza Strip and throw Fatah out. And I told them, okay, if you say so. So this type of intelligence, for example, it's in their book. It's somewhere in the computer. They know that a year before, they could have stopped it. They could have stopped it. And look now what happened and how many wars happen in Gaza Strip today. So sometimes, you just don't take seriously a piece of information.